cut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports,
First in the building, Carlos Rosado is on deck. Salute to you, brother. Appreciate you pulling up, being the first on deck. We're in the building, WCS. Yes, sir. Big shout out to the hottest chat in the MFing game. A-side official. No negotiation needed. Period. Mike on deck. What's good with it? Salute WCS in the chat. Samad Warren is on deck. What's good with it, Samad? Peace and blessings below. Salute WCS. Certified, stamp the like button and support the grind. What's good, everyone that's in the building? Samuel's on deck, man. I see you. Salute WCS. Salute to you. So as you see the thumbnail, you know, it took me back to my military days where I was doing PPTs or PPPs, you know what I'm saying? PowerPoint presentations. You know what I'm saying? We always dealt with them P's. Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. In this case, man, we in limbo right now as enthusiasts, aficionados, you know what I'm saying, diehards, boxing fans on what's going to be next. You know, with the Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford saga. Now that Bomac has returned back to the U.S., the big question is, are we going to see this fight this year, next year? Or are we going to see it at all? That is the bigger question. And it's not so much have anything to do with Crawford. It has a lot to do with people that's saying that Errol Spence may be pretty much done in his career. I wouldn't sit up here and tell you if it was, you know what I'm saying, Crawford supporters who was saying that. But a lot of pro Spence fans heading to July 29th was simply crushed by the results. So after those results was registered and the fight was stopped in the 9th round, it just seems to me they've never been the same. So what I've been hearing out here is that, you know, questions are arising if, you know, Errol Spence is going to fight Crawford again. So my take on it is, I know we heard him say this before July 29th, how he was, you know, able to go to several doctors after his accident, get checked up. They clear him. They say he was good to go. I don't know who those doctors were. I know he checked himself out the hospital ahead of time. I don't know if that could be a cause to any residual effects that he's having right here, right now. That's all public record. He said he checked himself out early and went home. He pretty much did rehab on his own. Was that something smart to do? Or was it something that he may have basically separated himself from when it comes to professional assessments, proper rehabilitation, being in the hospital? We don't know that because I don't know exactly what was all injured, what I'm saying, on Errol Spence. But we do know there's fighters like Pritchard Colon, Gerald McClellan, fighters who have suffered injuries in the ring. And you probably saying to yourself, well, what does that have to do with Spence? I say, well, Spence has came back from an accident and had 3 fights since the accident. Most notable, that last fight has a lot of people second guess if we're going to see the second fight between him and Crawford. Now it comes down to, did Crawford take him through to a threshold that medically may have destroyed the rest of his career, or what little career he had remaining? Because yes, he did take a lot of punishment. It's the worst that we ever seen Spence look. He didn't even look nowhere close to what we've seen him in the past. You know what I'm saying? He looked totally different. So it brings me, to this live stream. I say, no one's really asked the question. You know what I'm saying? Is he going to get a thorough medical examination so people can just be clear? Because there's too many people out here just sitting around, especially on this YTC, and they have questions all day long. Most of their questions is when the fight's going to happen again, when the fight's going to happen again. You have some people that will kind of make the comment, say, oh, he don't look the same, because they say, Spence didn't look the same. That wasn't the same Spence. That was a clone. But my question is, when it comes to the psychological part of it, how is he psychologically? You know what I'm saying? Money can only give you a temporary Band-Aid. It can take your mind off the pain for a little bit, but you still, when you have that downtime, you're still going through these issues that may be residual issues that he has based off the accident, or the punishment that he took as a contribution to residual problems that he may have had since accident. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm just, speaking on this from, WCS, from an observation point. But I hear people all the time, they ask these questions about Spence, but more so you hear them zip it up like, I want to see him fight again. I think he'll do better at 154. I think he'll be able to go in there. They look, they just want him to go in there and see can he get it done a second time. But WCS is like, they really don't care about this man, because if you just want to see him go in there and just see can he can get it done a second time, and he doesn't, and he even takes more punishment than he did the first time, then you have to think to yourself, was it smart of him to go back in there with a fighter, that inflicted so much damage upon him, like Crawford? Now, when Wilder lost to Tyson Fury, people were saying the same thing for Wilder's. He was stopped in the 7th round in the rematch, and they said, should he go back in there and fight? And Wilder was adamant about going through arbitration and stepping in there with Tyson Fury for a 3rd fight, and he did. He went out on his shield and was stopped in the 11th round. With Spence, though, it's different. See, Deontay Wilder didn't have any accidents or anything. He just had damage. He just had a situation where, his moment, or the damage that was inflicted upon him, was strictly based off his contendership versus Tyson Fury, both when he was attempting to defend his title 11th time, and when he tried to regain it back in the trilogy. With Errol Spence, we all know that he's had a dramatic episode, an incident that will forever change his life. Now, medically, they say he's been good to go, but we still has questions. Those questions is, how much is his condition being kept in silence. You know what I'm saying? How much this man is willing to sacrifice to say, whatever the problem is, my money can take care of it. How much more, how is it some, first of all, is it even at that point? If it is, what is the depth of it? You know what I'm saying? What is the severity of his condition, if any? Because, boxing is a terrible sport when it comes to the fan base. All they want is for you to continue to perform. They're not going to be there to wipe the drool off your mouth, freaking give you a bath, feed you, you know what I'm saying? And all those other things that, we see that has to happen with Pritchard Colon that was being hit in the back of the head, and Jeremy Clinton in his fight. You know what I'm saying? The brutal, physical, tenacious fight that forever changed his life. Now, they can't put Terrence Crawford in the same situation like that because Errol Spence was cleared. He was medically cleared. The commissions understand what he's been through. They understood that prior to him stepping in the ring with Danny Garcia. They understood what his accident was prior to him stepping in with Yordenis Ugas. But I'm going to be honest with you. Danny Garcia and Yordenis Ugas was not Terrence Crawford. And this is a moment where people kind of take these challenges for granted a lot. They sat up there and said, I see nothing that's going to tell me this is going to be a challenge for freaking Errol Spence. I see nothing. But yeah, WCS was telling you all. I was giving you the stories. I was telling you all. I was like, hey, this man don't have 0% chance of winning based off everything, the whole collective, backstory, his current condition, from my assumption. You know what I'm saying? Once again, I'm not giving you a qualified medical point, but I'm just saying whatever there may be residual effects. All right. And then, the fact of his undisciplined habits, those affecting him too. And then those around him that's afraid to tell him no, because they feel like that will be their last opportunity and they'll be gone. Now, of course, this is opinions, not based off facts. But what I'm saying is, I would definitely like to know if he's healthy enough, because for one, I want him to go in there and be able to return home to his kids. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost. I mean, yeah, I've seen a lot of people die, not just in the street, but in the military too. I have. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to it, he has a family like everybody else. He has a mother. He has a father. You know what I'm saying? He has people who love him. Feel me? But when it comes to this boxing game, sometimes, a boxer may look at it like all I have to do is step in the ring and basically give it my best. I felt good in training camp. I'm going to go in there and give it my best. And then the promoters may talk to the referee and say, hey, with him, just make sure you stop the fight. If it gets too bad, make sure you stop the fight. Don't let him get flatlined. You know what I'm saying? Because the suspension is much longer when you're flatline. But thankfully, these fighters today, they fight damn near once a year. But the good thing about this rematch is supposed to happen this year. All right. So you have to ask yourself, what are some of the psychological tests that Errol Spence will be administered? You know what I'm saying? Psychological tests, psychiatric nursing, and mental health. Is he going to a psychologist before he goes back in here with Terrence Crawford? I'm being totally serious with this. Like, the lack of credit that Crawford was given for Spence, none of the pro Spence fans even thought to do a live like this. I didn't hear anything like that. You know what I'm saying? They didn't really take seriously that you know, Errol Spence mentioned that he had checked himself out the hospital back in the day when he had that accident and went through rehab on his own with his people. They didn't take that in consideration. They didn't even care. You know what I'm saying? They didn't care the fact that he said no broken bones, I'm a savage, knowing that that's not entirely true. You know what I'm saying? Because the brain, there's only one. You know what I'm saying? You can compartmentalize it all you want, but there's only one brain, one central headquarters. And if you're telling me someone who's intoxicated, ejected out of a vehicle onto the pavement and knocks out their teeth, that they're not going to suffer any type of CTE damage or concussive damage to their head. Yes, they're going to. Real talk. Now, I don't know the extent of it, seriously, but I would like an assessment of the symptoms. I would definitely like an assessment of the symptoms. Real talk. Hold on for a second. Yeah, I would like an assessment of the symptoms. Point blank, period. I would like for, something to be administered that's applicable to, him having an accident and the changes that people may view that's different than the way he was prior to him facing Sean Porter. The 12 days after, he faced Sean Porter, which not many people are going to have access to. But, you know what I'm saying? We do understand that, yes, there's some interviews out there. There's some conversations, some dialogue. There's some press coverage where Errol Spence seemed cognitively a bit more attentive and aggressive, prior to Sean Porter fight. You know what I'm saying? It's out there. I was even told, you know what I'm saying, from the many times that I've did lives on Bud Crawford, people was telling me that, pretty much I'm thinking about the wrong thing. He has doctors, he has money and all that to take care of this. And I was like, okay, all right, cool. And then they turn around and say, the only reason he's talking like that is because he had new teeth put in his mouth. I say, so he had new teeth. He had oral surgery, and he was able to be provided with new teeth for the ones that was knocked out. Okay. So if anything, I'm telling you that wouldn't have to do with the speed of how he's, communicating with people. It would be more like, the method for how he's communicating with the people. Not the speed and the way his thought process is. Your teeth don't have anything to do with your synapses gap. It doesn't have anything to do with your neurological, how your brain processes, your functionality and mechanics. It shouldn't have to worry about that. They're making it seem like he has, this new set of teeth and it's causing him to talk slower. No, I don't believe that. I think at the end of the day, it has a more in-depth psychological processes going on with his brain, and may deal with concussion, something that's concussed. I don't know, but we do understand that the way we seen Errol Spence look in the Crawford fight is much more of a manner of brutality that anyone else has put him in. As far as the physical appearance, that is facts. That's absolutely facts, y'all. We've never seen him look in such a way of that type of brutality of any other fighter that he faced. And also, I must add this note too. The reason why I'm saying that is just prove how much of a dangerous opponent Terrence Crawford was overlooked as being. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people still to this day don't want to credit him for being a dangerous striker, but he has been proven to be a dangerous striker. And truth be told, the dynamic aspect of it is that Errol Spence had never faced anybody in his total boxing career like Terrence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, those around him, they failed to warn not to take boxing and combat sports so lightly. I don't think it was anyone around him that really wanted to. I don't think anybody around him that he respected enough, to tell him straight up, hey, Derrick James may not look at film, but I do. And I'm gonna be honest with you. This is gonna be one of your most dangerous fights of your career. You know what I'm saying? You remember when I said not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced? Nothing could be changed about the mentality of Errol Spence's freaking circle until it was faced, until Crawford actually faced this man. Because if when I say not everything that is faced can be changed, when you face the reality that these two has to fight, these two fighters, Crawford and Spence, they had to fight, and was finally able to fight. But the way the fans looked at this is that it was nothing that you were going to convince them without a physical meeting. You know what I'm saying? Without them having a physical intervention of a signed contractual agreement and see what happens once they step in the ring and grace the square together. That's it. When it came down to changing it until his face, when Crawford faced Spence, Spence faced Crawford, it changed the minds of a lot of people based off the visual effect that the brutality had on the audience. It changed a lot. It changed the weather. People didn't respect the light breeze. They didn't expect the clouds. They didn't expect the storm that was brewing. All they was looking at is that they were so complacent that they was just saying, okay, we had this before, nothing different. You know what I'm saying? Crawford ain't did this, Crawford ain't did that. But how was it that somebody can be that dangerous, but no one on Errol Spence's team deemed him that dangerous? Or I'm gonna play the advocate, not so much the devils, but I'm gonna play the advocate. Why wasn't anybody on Spence's team? Because the aerosexuals was up here talking about that wasn't the Spence. You couldn't hear that before the fight, right? That wasn't him. That wasn't him. That wasn't him. That was a clone. You didn't hear that before the fight. But if by chance somebody was over there on this team, why wasn't that voice loud enough to say, hey, Spence in over his head, this is going to be a tough fight. This is going to be very tough. And this is why I'm saying what I'm saying. I've been looking at this, and this. And then, Michael Jai White coming on here talking about his friend. If his friend, check this out. And Michael Jai White, man, me and you have talked in the past, right? As immersed in combat sports as you are, if your friend that was in there sparring him felt that he wasn't ready, he don't have it. You're making my point today. Why didn't anyone tell his people, or could they feel that they have enough confidence to tell his people that he don't have it? Don't send him in there. Why come out way after the fight is over with and people have no idea if the rematch is going to happen, and now bring it up to the surface and say, oh, my friend told me that he just don't got it. He just don't got it. But yet you still let him walk into the ring and get blitzed. That's not friends right there. Now, I know you said the sparring partner wasn't a friend. He was your friend. He wasn't Errol Spence's friend. But I'm just saying, if Errol Spence was looking this way in sparring, and he was slowly dropping weight, but not as expeditiously as he should, why didn't nobody around his circle, hook him up? They didn't. They was afraid to give him an assessment of their symptoms. And then sometimes if it's outside our scope, right? Let's just say he don't have a doctor on deck, but people see telltale signs. They can suggest he go to the medical facility. He can go to a hospital, go to a doctor's office. You know what I'm saying? Go get checked up, get a psychological assessment, get a physical. The only time I really heard him speak on it was that when he was talking about his accident. Assessment of personality traits and disorders. Is Errol Spence's personality the same after his accident than what it was previously? I think it is. You know what I'm saying? I think he's a bit more withdrawn now when it comes to his personality. You know what I'm saying? I think when it deals with him just staying focused, I guess Derrick James sees it himself, and that's why he used focus 15,000 times in training camp. Stay focused, because there may be some cognitive issues. You know what I'm saying? Cognitive issues that's going on that Diddy James has witnessed, and that's why he say focus a million times. I'm gonna tell you, if a person understand what the word focus is, you telling them 100,000 times is not going to get them more focused. Maybe they're incapable of calibrating their focus. You know what I'm saying? Really locking into something. Keeping their attention on one specific, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's difficult for him to do that now. I don't know. His cognitive functioning, like I just mentioned. Do he get checked on that a regular basis? I mean, is he going to the therapist in between fights? Is he going to a qualified doctor to see, let's run some tests and see if cognitively I'm still there. I'm quick enough. I'm sharp enough. I'm seeing things I'm supposed to see, with these light tests. Am I able to move accordingly? Or am I just too slow that my brain cannot function as fast as I want it to be? Because if they're giving him these light tests, you know what I'm saying, to see how quickly he can pick up these particular sensors and all that, and it's below, you know what I'm saying, the numbers aren't high enough for the average, to compare them to the average person that's taking this test. How do you expect him to go back into the boxing ring and be able to pull the trigger, so to speak? Somebody help me understand that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody help me. How is he supposed to unlock? How he's supposed to unlock and have the key to respond to whatever's going on in the boxing ring? How is he supposed to unlock that moment? That's my question. Is he going to cognitive functioning examinations? Are they doing tests on this man? Because really, but hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. I want Crawford to win this rematch just as much as I did the first time. But then it comes down to, okay, I would definitely want Errol Spence to be 1,000% healthy going into this rematch too. Sound on deck. I see you. Don Vaughn on deck. Big Blunts and Boxing in the building. The gold on deck. What's good? Think on deck. The car crash alone with the punches he taken to this point can really be detrimental later down the road. You know what I'm saying? Respect to Spence, he was outclassed, but he never mentally folded against Bud. Okay. So Andrew said he never mentally folded. And I have to line up, I have to line up with that. You know what I'm saying? I can't just totally erase the idea that he didn't, you know what I'm saying? It was a moment in there that he mentally folded. I can't line up with that. I can't check the box and say, well, I disagree. I kind of agree, because I say, you know what, Spence He proved to me he had more dog than I thought. He kept getting up, getting up, getting up, getting up. In order for a human being to know that they're first of all facing adversity, you have to look at the amount of adrenaline that was going. But one thing about it, only a certain level of adrenaline would get you through a cognitive deficiency. You know what I'm saying? Brain damage. It's only so much. But every single time Spence was knocked down, he did get up. He knew that he needed to get up. Now, I would say this: if he was getting knocked down, and then he was delirious as to what he's supposed to do next, and you can see it on his face. Spence was beat up, and he still got up. You know what I'm saying? You can see him wearing the fight in the second round. He still was getting up. So I definitely have to agree with Andrew on that. In that perspective, absolutely, he was still getting up. Real talk. I agree with that. Smart said the word on 50 Streets of Showtime is done. Crawford versus Spence 2. T-Mobile Massacre 2 is over. That's the only excuse I'm giving. Yeah, we can there's contracts for a reason. They wouldn't have made the contract to say that the fight needs to happen for the end of the year if they was planning on absolving, Showtime before the end of the year. We're in October. The fight's supposed to be in December. What is the haste? All they're doing is switching up their model right now. That's it. They're not going on vacation. They're not going on the deployment. You know what I'm saying? They're not going on the deployment or anything. They're just switching up their model. That's it. What's going on, Jameson? How you feeling, bro? Crazy thing, Errol cares about money, so a big enough bag will have him risk more mental damage to get paid. I just don't want Errol to end up not being able to normally take care of his family. Well, as we've seen in the past, you totally understand how that works, man. There's been many boxers that say, I can get back in there and I feel decent. When they go through training, they ain't getting hit, right? They go through training, they feel good, man. They feel loose. They feel like their strength and speed is coming back. You know what I'm saying? They get in shape. They just feel good. But then when they start going to, getting that sparring, you know what I'm saying? They got their headgear on. Some things start to unlock. And they say, can I get past this? Is it something I can handle? You know what I'm saying? Am I still competent enough to create a positive mental picture as to where I'm at right now? I don't know. That is the biggest discussion. Sound say Spence can probably still fight, just not against Crawford and definitely not within 6 months. I'll say about the 6 months. I don't know why people keep saying 6 months, because if by chance, he has some issues that was going on prior to Crawford, how are we to put a certain amount of months on somebody else's internal physical deficiencies? You know what I'm saying? If he has some disabilities going on internally, how are we to know how severe there are without us actually being there for his appointments and stuff like that? We don't know. You know what I'm saying? We cannot come up with a clear, concise, findings, because we're not qualified to do so, man. But I get where you at with it. We just put numbers on things. Everything's numeric simulation. We live off numbers, time, days, the amount of time is spent in the food. We live off numbers. But when it comes to the physical anatomy is different for everybody. Yeah, somebody can put a little bit of time to it. Oh, it's going to take you 3 weeks to recovery. You get to 3 weeks and you still ain't recovered. That means you can't just gauge off somebody's physical anatomy. You can just say, okay, based off my observation and my expertise, I believe it's going to take you around this time. It might take you 3 to 6 weeks just to be safe. But you know how that goes, man. You know how that goes. But, the assessment of his cognitive functioning, where is it at right now? You know what I'm saying? What's the level that is at? Is he constantly being tested? You know what I'm saying? Does that cognitive functioning changes if you are idle in between fights and not constantly working out. Because we know when you work out, you're staying active. You know what I'm saying? You're generating that blood to the brain. You're generating oxygen. You know what I'm saying? You're doing these type of aerobic and anaerobic activities. You know what I'm saying? You're keeping yourself active. You know what I'm saying? Vice, when you have downtime, you chilling, certain things don't operate the same. I don't know, bro. Travis Bryan, what's good with it? Salute to you, brother. See you on deck. The first psychological test Spence will have to overcome in the rematch is deja vu of that jab busting his face up. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, that jab was quite brutal. You know what I'm saying? It's quite brutal. I'm not gonna lie to you. That jab was some serious. And really, I don't think it's anything that can help or assist with him sustaining damage unless he move his head. If he move his head, then he may be potentially able to sustain less damage than he did in the first fight. If he goes in here and it's just full steam ahead and Spence is getting hit like it was, guess what? It's going to be a superb showing once again by Crawford. And we're going to see the damage played out in one of the most shrewd ways again in the rematch. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it's going to be. That's just what people are going to remember, how Terrence Crawford disemboweled freaking Errol Spence, stripped him of everything. You know what I'm saying? Broke him down, beat him up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hey, he wanted to come in there. You know what I'm saying? Listen, Tyrese, I simply mentioned this ways ago. You know what I'm saying? On hearing him talk. He's not a doctor. The 805, that was just a name that was given to him. We don't know what he is. He can be a registered nurse. Did you hear him say he worked with them but old people? He never even did any neurological examinations on patients that was the age group of Spence. He's been working strictly with older patients. That tells me that you're going to deal with a lot more when it comes to their psychological impairment. That means dementia. That means other disabilities that they have that younger, patients may not have. So his entire findings and studies was with the elderly, with people who are already there, and he's running tests on them. That's how I look at it, bro. I don't need to go to the medical bar to figure this shit out. He wasn't no Dr. 805. That's just what the guy gave him. That was his alias. But for him to sit up here and say, "Oh, my wife says something's wrong with him." Look, listen, anybody can say anything wrong with any fighter. This is not a freaking, contest where people have to go off looks. It's some strange looking fighters to step in the ring, right? We seen that. The new excuse back, hand credit that these Errol Sex was giving Bud, stating Bud only fought one A-class fighter on his resume, Errol Spence. This must make them valid mental illness for EJ fans. Hey, I told you this boxing game can be extremely tricky, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It can be extremely tricky. They can go around and refuse to give this man his credit, for who he fought leading up to this point. But also they should place maximum liability on themselves for basically taking Bud for granted that no one on his resume could have possibly prepared him to be as great as he looked against Errol Spence. They sit up there and thought that everyone on his resume, even the champions, the undefeated, the Olympians, anybody you want to name, right? They were so complacent and pathetic that as diehard boxing fans, or whatever they consider themselves to be, they couldn't even process what lies, what laid in wake. You know what I'm saying? The imminent danger that was lying in wait for them in this fight. They couldn't even process it because they was so drowned it. You know what I'm saying? They was under hypnosis, man. They was busy thinking about nothing can happen. No, no, no. We seeing him. Crawford too big. Look. And look, if you look at my picture I had here, that's the picture that I took when he was in, the first press conference that they had. You know what I'm saying? When they said he just looked all huge and everything. You know what I'm saying? I guess size didn't matter when it came to skill because skills pay the bills, right? You know what I'm saying? Skills pay the bills. Shout out to the night shift, no doubt. Salute to y'all, the ones who getting it in on the night shift for sure. I don't know who else Spence is gonna beat that's gonna make him a lot of money. When I hear these cats talking about what type of fighter Crawford has on his resume, one A-list fighters. What to be honest, they built Errol Spence up to be an A-list fighter. When the debates was all active and people doing 30,000 freaking debates on Crawford Spence when they was warned to stop. You know what I'm saying? I warned them to stop. I said, y'all need to chill with these debates. You're going to be disappointed. Your mental state is going to be ruined for a long period of time. It's going to take you a long, rigorous, you know what I'm saying, duration to get back to normal. And I don't think that's going to happen if a rematch is in store. The rematch happened. You may have to face this freaking massacre a second time. And that's going to mess up at least about 3 to 4 Christmas. This is not going to be over till like 26, 27. If you have to witness this again this year, 2 in 1 year is not going anywhere. But the wild part about this is that of every bit of media that was going on prior to this fight, none of these Spence fans thought to say, does he have symptoms? You know what I'm saying? Does he have, different personality traits personality traits and disorders that concern me? They didn't care because they felt that the whooping that he put on Yadinas Ugas was great. They say nothing is wrong with Spence. He is good to go. You see, he's the rib collector. He's the eye collector. Yeah, so many receipts are out there that they wasn't even concerned to do a live stream about his health and his mental state. They didn't care if his cognitive functioning may be a bit deficient or impaired, you know what I'm saying, or damaged. They didn't care about none of that, man. They don't want to hear about his psychodynamics. Is that on point? Is it sharp? You know what I'm saying? Is he able to function on a level for his age group? No one wanted to even explore that, but WCS will. I have no problem exploring it for you. You know what I'm saying? I have no problem in discussing this with you all, and basically dichotomizing any type of debate and provide you with two sides, left and the right, 1 to 2, whatever you want to do. Split it down the middle, and let's try to balance this out and come up with a resolution as to what we've been witnessing lately. Now, environmental stressors. This is totally, what we're talking about. Him happen to train in a physical combat sport. Now, I don't know what his home life is. I don't know if it's somebody, those people that's in Texas that turn their back on him. I don't know if there's people around him that maybe have given up or basically, criticize him for the way he performed. I don't know. But I know we have a lot of environmental stressors on the YTC when it comes to the aerosexuals. You know what I'm saying? Those individuals on the YTC chose to basically speak outside of supporting that particular fighter. So I'm saying to myself, that may have been the reason why they didn't see what I saw, because they was busy talking about the guy who was going to be the deliverer. You know what I'm saying? He was going to be the messenger. He was going to be the mercenary. He's the one that was going to go out here and inflict the damage. But they were so infatuated with talking about him instead of Errol, they didn't have a clue. They felt that Errol had a chance, right? Because simply they underestimated how dangerous Crawford was. And that right there, in my opinion, it has a lot to do with psychological deficiency. You know what I'm saying? Disorders. They didn't really, take time to have a moment. You know what I'm saying? Take time to have a moment, reset, really deeply process what was going on. Look at his resume without bias and see if there's any, routine between, Crawford moving up in weight, looking at some of his film, really checking out to see if he was this bum that they was thinking he was. Unfortunately, they did not discover that he was anything more than just an average fighter, undeveloped, trash opponents, and that Errol Spence will have no problem beat him. And we all seen how tragic that turned out. It was tragic, not just for Errol Spence, but for his team, for his loved ones that was there, for Jerry Jones, you know what I'm saying? And all the other athletes was there, right? For Jamel Charlo, James Harden, you know what I'm saying? It was a whole lot of what we call innocent bystanders that were affected by this beatdown. Yes, sir. It was innocent bystanders that became casualties. They couldn't come up with a conclusion because they wasn't trying to assess it with an open mind. All they wanted to do is continue to just talk. Oh man, he ain't fought nobody. He ain't fought nobody. Errol did everything he's supposed to do. Everything. Oh man, forget WCS to my. He don't have 0% chance. He don't have a 0%. I give him no value of winning this fight. No value. We look at combat sports differently. All I'm saying, at that moment for that fight, I was right. He had 0% chance of winning. Period. And the worst part of it all is just the residual effect. Just the ones who don't have, you know what I'm saying, those cognitive functioning impairments or those, serious problems psychologically, they able to function enough to go to work, maintain a job, and come home. They're dealing with this stressor on a daily basis, y'all. They're dealing with this stressor to this day as we speak. They're dealing with it. And the ones who is going to take much more longer to get over and basically go through this rehabilitation, this self-rehabilitation, is the ones who actually showed up on site in Vegas to see this firsthand. Because the wild part about that ride was they felt it was going to be one of those, what's those trips that they take you on? They thought it was going to be a voyage. They thought it was going to be a vacation. They was going to take a cruise line. They was just going on an excursion. It was going to be some type of vacation that they was going to enjoy themselves. And it turned out to be a freaking T-Mobile massacre. I tried to tell him, y'all. I tried to tell him what was going to happen. See, I don't know if I told you all this, but I wasn't just looking at the way Crawford, fought as a boxer. I collectively was able to see him perform in other sports myself. I seen it with my own eyes in person. And if I haven't seen those moments of him doing what he was doing, if it was wrestling with his people, if it was outrunning football routes, you know what I'm saying? If it was, seeing him spar, knowing how important wrestling is to the fight game, just now putting the pieces together to say, damn, this guy is a multifaceted athlete. Spence isn't. And unfortunately for me, I don't timestamp all my freaking live streams, but I told anybody, I said, if Spence and Crawford was to have a sprint right now, Crawford will win. If Spence and Crawford was to play basketball right now, Crawford will win. If they was to play football right now, Crawford would have no problem catching a pass or defending if it was Spence. Just overall, athletically, my rating for Crawford was like, he's a different type of athlete. And I take that and I said, okay, if you take all that, you consolidate it into him being a boxer, Spence is in trouble because boxing is a physical sport. It's just not going in there just because you fought these big fighters and you know what I'm saying, you love taking punishment. I factored that in to how the performance will be with Spence against Spence. I factored all that in for Crawford, how he would go in there and dominate Spence. And for Spence, I looked at the way he fought, that come forward aggressive style, head on the line, basically remediating the same type of punch exchanges. I say he's in trouble. He's absolutely in trouble, period. No matter how you want to accept it, the man was in freaking trouble. But the stubbornness of these individuals that's on here, they was just looking at it like, I'm going to be stubborn right along with him. You know what I'm saying? His fans was acting like he was. You know, he refused to acknowledge how dangerous Crawford was. You know, Diddy James was up here convincing people that those 10 straight knockouts didn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Even in Beverly Hills, his first resistance, his first line of defense, so to speak, Errol Spence, he said, man, come on, you ain't fought nobody, man. Come on, you ain't fought nobody. So his first line of defense was basically showing the people that he was going to be defiant. See, it's easy for you to be defiant when you're still in the process of getting in fight camp and you're still weighing a pretty good amount. You know, you still got some pounds on you and you haven't started going through the rigors of training camp yet. So you're going to have a lot of energy. And that's what we've seen from Spence. We've seen he had a lot of energy. He had a lot of weight on him. I remember, you know, hearing people and they began to talk like, oh man, Crawford looked like Spencer's little brother. You know, but they wasn't considering the fact that he has to lose the weight in order to compete. You can say what you want, but he's not walking into the ring whatever weight he had. If he weighed 175 at that point, he wasn't going to walk and split the ropes at 175. So when I heard all this jumping up and down and, you know, people, you know, being all excited, overly excited about the weight that Spence had in this picture right here, I say, damn, what are we dealing with? We dealing with, you know, regular boxing fans, diehard boxing fans, or just, you know, passerbys, you know what I'm saying? Temporaries, people who stop in and they step out. They drop in, they step out. What are we dealing with? And we've seen a significant difference when he started to drop weight in his energy. He barely even did a full open workout. He was still, you know what I'm saying, deeply immersed in trying to drop that weight. We've seen it play out. So my biggest question is when it comes down to, you know, this rematch, even if it happened, because I know people are talking this, that, and the other about Showtime and all that. But ultimately, we still have to wait and see what the word is going to be on this particular fight. We have to wait because contractually, you know what I'm saying, they just can't throw away a contract. You know what I'm saying? They have a contract. You know what I'm saying? Showtime has to have a time to honor the contract. These fighters signed the contract. I don't know what the details are in the contract, but they signed a document. They signed a contractual agreement. So therefore, you just can't say we're moving on and, you know, Spence and Crawford is done. No, they had a contract. Unless that contract say any given time we deem necessary to step away from the second fight due to us moving on and reconstructing our model, we can do so. Unless they had that in there, cool. But I seriously doubt it, y'all. Boxing is a brutal sport. Spence has been doing this all his life. Once he cleared medically, I'm good with the rematch. His head trainer failed him. Diddy James had zero respect for Bud. He did. He had zero respect for him. The rematch versus Bud is going to retire Earl. I feel that way. My initial prediction for the rematch was Bud in 4, but I'm going to give Spence a little more credit and say Bud in 5. Okay. All right. Okay. Errol should retire after this upcoming second beatdown for Bud. I support that. I mean, I second that motion. I second that motion. How many hours of film study does Diddy James need to help EJ make the fight competitive in the T-Mobile Massacre 2? I'm wondering, WCS, can you please explain? I don't know. This is what I don't know, Samad. I'll be totally honest with you on that. My mindset is not like Diddy James. You know what I'm saying? Diddy James' mindset can never survive in the military, especially in the Marine Corps. He never could have survived. Because he feels like he reminds me of one of those Marines that kept getting in trouble and have a hard time paying attention. You know what I'm saying? The one when it comes up to promotion, he's having difficulty, getting the approval of his superiors that he's competent enough to pick up the next rank, because the higher the rank, the more responsibility you have. Diddy is in a sport where you're going in there and compete. Okay, the teams compete in training camp, and they also compete on fight night. They may not physically compete, but they mentally compete. Then you have the fighters who physically compete. So you're taking the physical and mental of a fighter, and also whatever instructions that team is giving their fighter, and they have to go in there and try to get the job done. And we all know that every fight, the intensity level is different. Every fighter intensity level is different. So Diddy James, man, not watching film, I can't tell you. Because I don't know how disciplined he is to watch film study and really come up with a solid golden game plan for EJ to go back in there and be more competitive with Crawford. I don't think he has it in him. Like, just look at his professional boxing career. You know what I'm saying? Every 12 rounder he stepped up to, he lost. You know what I'm saying? His last fight was a 6-rounder. I mean, he was all over the place in his career. That didn't have nothing to do with Spence. This before he was even a trainer. Diddy James was all over the place, bro. Some is not right with that dude. Some ain't right. Some ain't right, man. I'm serious. Some ain't right with him. People who were sleeping on Crawford were catastrophically wrong in their assumptions. I agree with that. It was catastrophic. And like I said, they call it slander. I call it grace, because I am gracefully basically reminding you why it was catastrophic. You know what I'm saying? You took certain areas of the combat field for granted. You know what I'm saying? You didn't take it serious to say, okay, this fighter, is this, and this, and this. Those are all pros. And then he does have cons. Okay. If the cons was his resume and his opponents was trash, then you have to look on, Errol Spence side of the house and see those opponents and judge them equally without bias and say, is it really a separation between Crawford and Spence? Is it truly a separation? Was it that big of a gap between Crawford and Spence when it came to resume? No, hell no, it wasn't. Hell no, it wasn't a huge gap like that. But unfortunately, I don't know if y'all ever heard of the word microcephaly, right? That's when somebody have a small ass head. Some of these people were suffering from that. You know what I'm saying? Their brain was not capable of being the average size of human beings. I'm not saying all of them, but I'm just saying, like, it was no way, no how they can properly gauge and say, well, this fight is going to be a bit more competitive than we think. No, they were just saying, oh man, Crawford, he's chinny. And they kept bringing up something 10 years ago. 10 freaking years ago. That's just like, I mention this all the time. You're 35 years old and somebody's mentioned something you did when you was 25. You're 25 years old. Somebody's mentioned something you did at 15 years old. The maturity level is going to be different significantly. So just the fact that they kept on mentioning Gamboa, I was like, wow, these people really don't care to represent themselves better than that. They don't care, bro. They don't care, man. They just reckless with it. Errol would be the only one responsible for error in the end. I would think most boxers would do brain scans periodically just to stay on top of what's happening upstairs. Like I said, shout out to Evers on deck. Shout out to you. I can only assume that once again, I have to put this disclosure out there that I'm just speaking from observation with verbal assessments that's based off no facts at all. Only portion of this that I can assume is that he's able to function enough in between fights with enough people around him to keep him actively engaged in certain things. Now, while he's engaged in those certain activities, he may not go through, those type of deficiencies or impairments or whatever he might have. You know what I'm saying? He always got somebody around him. But when it's downtime and he's just chilling by himself, he may go through some moments like, how he says he has PTSD from driving. PTSD from driving and, having these flashbacks just don't happen when he's driving. Okay. Those particular episodes, your mind never stops working. You know what I'm saying? When you're active and I'm talking about when you're healthy and you're living, your mind never stops working. So therefore, no one can tell me that just when he's on the street, he's having these flashbacks, these episodes of cars running in him and stuff. No, that would happen during his downtime too. How is he not thinking about that, during his downtime? He is. It's a shame too, because Crawford is America's champ. Maybe Dr. Elifar should psychological test on these aerosexuals. Yeah, if he wants to do something constructive to the YCC, Carlos, I agree. You know what I'm saying? I agree. Maybe we need to start a petition and get him to start doing assessments for the first time on the younger age group and see why they're so lost. You know what I'm saying? Why they're so lost. I agree. You can't lead a horse to water, definitely. During the fight, the commentator said Crawford is a freak athlete. Really is just different. A real deal freak of nature. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? Dilly dally. You know what I'm saying? That dally. He is a freak of nature. Real talk. I mean, no one should feel, hesitant to say that. Crawford has proven that. How they have these certain people that doesn't look the part, that are just freaks of nature. Like you see some of these track runners, they just crazy. And then you see people like Spud Webb, who I used to see him. He was shorter, way shorter than me, but he can dunk with ease. He can dunk, man. You know what I'm saying? You see these athletes in life. Look at Michael Phelps when he was swimming. I was like, damn, that dude's like a fish. They're blessed with as a freak of nature, man. They're blessed above the average athlete when it comes to superiority. And Bud Crawford, unfortunately, he's in a sport where, boxing fans are very, very prejudiced. Boxing fans are extremely prejudiced. One of the most prejudiced fan base in combat sports. MMA fans are not like that, but boxing fan base are very much prejudiced, discriminatory, petty. You know what I'm saying? They claim they know everything. They're the ones that pretty much deal with the soap opera distribution of media content, not anything that they do a research on and try to come up with information that makes sense. They more so, they want to be screenwriters. You know what I'm saying? They want to basically draft up scripts and talk about it on the YTC to get people to believe it. That's all. And it didn't change anything. I say this all the time to people I'm talking with, having these conversations. I said, hey, after everything that they did, after all the talk and how they switched up after the fight and came up with all these excuses, nothing's going to convince me that they're still not disappointed in their personal lives. They're still disappointed. It just didn't go away. They're still disappointed. They have to go around other people that know that they made the worst. They made the worst selection in this particular matchup between Crawford and Spence. They was up here talking all that nonsense, and they had to face the goddamn music. You know what I'm saying? They had to face the music. And that music was the pitter patter of Terrence Crawford's glove bouncing off Errol Spence's cheekbones. You know what I'm saying? His brows, his jawline. You know what I'm saying? Yes. You know what I'm saying? All the freaking pictures that are now flooded the freaking cloud out here in Google of Terrence Crawford making Errol Spence look like somebody that we never seen before. And I remember Roy Jones said, hey, his face probably looked the way it did so early because of the surgery he probably had to get. And then when I put that out there, people was like, no, Roy don't know what he's talking about. If you look at his face, and I put the picture up here, he had a lot of damage to his face, man. I'm pretty sure they had to go through some process to get his skin to look back the way it did. His face was freaking, I mean, you're talking about people talk about tomatoes all the time, but his face was looking like a freaking, somebody had poured some ragu sauce all over his face, man. Like his face literally looked like a mushy, tomato that was on its way out. That had started to get soft in the first, 3 stages of rotting. Yeah, man, it was bad, bro. Bud is playing golf now. He said, call him. He said, call him Terrence Woods for real. Boy said he hit 300 and some yards or something like that. Crazy. Buzz is athlete of the year, in my opinion. He's the most dedicated and the most brutal sport. I'm pretty sure some more dedicated fighters out there. It's just, if you take dedication along with, above average skill set, I'm talking about superior skill sets, then that's what makes it that much special when it comes to these fighters. You know what I'm saying? You can be dedicated, but still don't have these special skill sets to stand out to people. You can be extremely dedicated. Devin Haney's dedicated, in my opinion. I don't know. Shakur Stevenson, he comes off as being a truly dedicated, fighter in between time. Keyshawn Davis. There's a lot of fighters. You know what I'm saying? Gary Russell Jr. Canelo. You can't say Canelo's not dedicated. He always comes in and he makes weight. You gotta say Canelo Alvarez. I'm not just trying to name fighters. This is, at the top of the food chain. But yeah. Before the fight, Bud gonna be able to handle Errol's pressure and power. After the fight, insert Errol's sexual excuse here. If they want to come over here and go through the same routine again, Carlos, I'll say this. It only proves what I'm talking about. It only proves that they too have psychological impairments that's going on. They too have disabilities that they basically placed upon themselves because they was the one that was all up close to this situation. They was putting in all this energy, yo. They was putting all these energy to lie, the excuses, all that. At the end of it all, leading up to the fight and after the fight, the fact that they had all this stress, the onus that they had to carry around, knowing that they were sitting up here lying and coming up with all this false information, it didn't change a thing. It didn't change a thing. And the humility of it all, it never changed a thing. Facts. Salute WCS in the chats. Salute to you, Jessica. How you feeling? Dan Tan on deck. I see you in the building. Appreciate you. Jab the like button. I appreciate you. I can only base my assumptions by what my eyes have seen, and I've seen Bud annihilate everybody in spectacular fashion. Yeah, we agree on that. We concur. Absolutely. I concur. You know what I'm saying? I concur. But also with us understanding that he did what he did. You know what I'm saying? When you mention the word annihilate, there are also people that basically self-destructed and annihilated their sanity. You know what I'm saying? You have to place that in consideration too. I don't know if they had health care enough to hire psychologists, but they also basically annihilated their sanity at the end of the day because they was actually believing all this stuff without any process or reasoning. They was believing everything that they was talking about. He don't have a chin. He ain't fought nobody. His resume is garbage. Arrow's just too strong. He's gonna punish him. The pressure. They was talking about that. Oh, that infamous jab, that legendary jab that turned out to be a non-factor, y'all. And even I commended Errol Spence on having a solid jab. But the way Bud stole it, he stole it. He basically disallowed Errol Spence to be able to execute that jab effectively on a consistent timepiece. He destroyed him. Destroyed him. That jab was a non-factor, people. A non-factor. Bud Closer Fights was a KO. Bud Closer Fights was a KO. Shout out to Sir Senior in the building. Salute to your brother on deck. Man, it's mid-October. Why haven't we heard anything about the rematch? I don't know. That is a good question. That is a good question. I have did everything. I've sent up the bat signal. I have started a freaking fire and sent up SOS smoke signals. I did everything to basically start off with the traditional way of communicating through the skies before I tried to locate, you know what I'm saying, the proper area to drop this information. You know what I'm saying? I tried the air, you know what I'm saying, where people can see it from afar. I did. I sent it out there. Real talk. I sent it out there. No shit. I did. And I haven't got a response yet. I'm not bullshitting. I sent it up there. I did everything. You know what I'm saying? People's like, damn, you still got that signal up there? I say, yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? They got to see it. They have to know it's up. When is the fight? We trying to make plans. When is the fight, man? Do we get to witness, you know, this? Are we going to get the announcement? I'm thinking insidiously, you know, and don't frown upon me for saying insidious, but in a clever way, I will hope the announcement will come damn near close to Halloween this month. Yeah. Mm-hmm. For my own insidious reasons. Yes. I think Halloween would be appropriate to announce this, you know, fight date. Being that we was treated to a July 29th massacre, and then also there is potential for us to experience another holiday massacre prior to the close of 2023. Yes, sir. I love it. I love it so much. I love it so much to have two freaking boxing massacres play out with, you know, and then the victims be, you know, some of the weakest boxing fans on the YTC. Once again, you know, I'm talking about the individuals that choose to get mad personally at people based off boxing talk. Oh man, in my sneakish laugh. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I hope it's announced on Halloween. Real talk. I do. I hope it's announced on Halloween so I can get in the mood. I say, I like that. I like that. Halloween. Ooh. Oh, goblins. Yes. Scary. I want it to be announced on a day like that because it can kind of remain fresh in my thought process, right? On July 29th. You know what I'm saying? But the good part about it is that it was supposed to be in the contract. But with everything going on, I hear the aerosexuals, they trying their best to basically eliminate the rematch now. They just want to run far away from this rematch as possible. You know what I'm saying? They want Errol to go elsewhere. They still wish bad upon Bud. You know what I'm saying? But now they get it. They get it that they can't change a damn thing. They get that all that shit they was talking about didn't matter, and it's never going to be an issue. It's never going to change anything. So you can say that the man cheated and all that. It's never going to change anything. The person that still holds an unblemished record is Terrence Bud Crawford. Bomac has returned home. The team is once again activated. It's time to get active, God damn it. It is time to get active. The team has reunited. It's time to get active. Al on deck, I see you. What's good with it? Like I said before, Bud exposed every fundamental flaw that Errol hid for all those years. Hey, Bomac said no more hiding. I'm beginning to think he was talking about both of them. I'm going to say he was talking about both of them. He was talking about Diddy James and Errol Spence. No more hiding. No more hiding. It's over. You follow all that. You think we've been fighting tomato cans and mediocre competition? Okay. No more hiding for both of you. You know what I'm saying? No more hiding, man. He said the thing is, Carlos, he didn't hide. It was in plain sight. For real. You ain't lying, right? Most of the time when people gonna commit a crime, what they do, Jessica, they goddamn do that shit in the shade. They do in the areas that's less conspicuous. You know what I'm saying? And this one was done in front of millions. The lights couldn't have been more brighter. Real talk. The people that was in there witnessing this, oh man, it was chatter. People was looking at each other. Oh my God. What am I? Oh my God. Oh, they had a fresh, they had just went to the bar. They had fresh drinks in their hand. They had goddamn hot buttered popcorn. They had a nice size hamburger that did not get eaten. They put that food down as they was on their feet. And they were saying, oh God, no. Oh God, no. I know God was pissed. God was like, why y'all keep on calling on me? I don't have anything to do with this. This on y'all. I listened to all that trash talk y'all was talking. Handle it. This don't have nothing to me. Stop calling my name, man. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's all you heard, man. That's all you heard. You know what I'm saying? God said, don't call me now for safekeeping. You always out there talking all that nonsense. You know what I'm saying? How you know I'm not a Crawford fan? How they know, y'all? How they know God wasn't a Crawford fan? All they were saying, oh my God. Oh my God. Hey, oh my God. Oh man, they was feeling bad up in that joint. But they didn't learn. They didn't learn because I thought, like little kids they are, they thought it would be better for them to come back, create all these false stories, and you know, before they left, talking about he didn't look the same. It was, you know, just made a complete and absolute fool out of themselves. But yet, every time you look on BoxRec, what does it say? 28-1. There hasn't been no investigation or anything. There haven't been no positive tests come back. Hold that snake by the head now. If you're going to try to mimic his moves, hold it by the head so you can watch it squirm and you can feel it squirm. Now, his record is 28-1. That's all I'm saying. WCS told me he going as Rick James to the Halloween party this year. I can't go as anybody. No, I can't go as anybody named James. Hell no. You asking me to be dumb for a night. Why I gotta be dumb for a night? You asking me to go out here and just absolutely be dumb. I should be Jim Carrey if I'm trying to be dumb. I should be Dumb and Dumber. You asking me to be Diddy? Hell no. Hell no. Come on, watch yourself, man. You know, that sound a little bit malicious there. I thought we was allies there, Carlos. That sounded a little bit malicious to me. You want me to goddamn assume the character of anything dealing with a James? No, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do it. I know you meant it in good spirit, but I can't do that. No way. They definitely was saying that at the bar. I was the only Bud fan there. Hey man, I just think about that. If we're talking about having reflections and having a little bit of PTSD when it comes to that night of boxing, July 29th, that shit was healthy PTSD right there. I loved it. That was healthy PTSD. I loved it. Real talk. I loved it. I loved it. I couldn't have envisioned it any better. But I'm not gonna lie. When I was eating on, that freaking trout, you know what I'm saying? That trout and catfish and some shrimp. When that second round, when he went down, I think a shrimp was hanging out my motherfucking mouth. The shrimp was like, "Hey nigga, you gonna eat me or what? Don't play around. Am I gonna have my life spared tonight or what? Don't play around with me. Don't tease me like that." I say, hold on, man. Hold on. What am I witnessing? I had to get up and get closer. I say, no, hell no. I had to go get the binos. I had to go grab one of my weapons and look through the optics. Is that what I'm saying? Damn. This nigga down. He's down. Down goes Spence. Down goes Spence. Down goes Spence. That's all I heard, man. Down goes Spence. Errol better reflect on that ass whooping before he get in that ring with Bud again. Carlos, you gotta learn when, to be a volunteer worker, so to speak. Maybe they need our help again, but nah. We helped them last time. We can't help them again. We can't help them again. We provided them with food, drink, and a dessert. You know what I'm saying? One apple slice. You know what I'm saying? We provided them with a meal at the triage right outside the massacre. I appreciate everyone who chipped in and everything. I appreciate y'all help. We provided them with a bag lunch to help them get home. They were selfish. They came back online talking shit. So we're not going to be modest the second time around. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to use unnecessary energy on them aerosexuals, because all I wanted to do this particular live is see if he was physically, mentally, and emotional stable heading into this second fight. Is he doing the necessary examinations and assessments with qualified physicians and doctors? That's all. That's all. Because I don't want him to go in there and knowing what he faced the first time, that it's going to be any better the second time. And I definitely want, if you're listening, those of you that's around him, Halloween is steadily approaching this month. If you can do me a favor, can y'all please not, have people dressing up, like Jason or Freddy Krueger? You know what I'm saying? I mean, just stay away from Dukes of Hazzard. You know what I'm saying? Just stay away from things that just might frighten Errol Spence this year. You know what I'm saying? Don't have him get invested in Halloween, because he has that fight coming up. He might be goddamn seeing Freddy Krueger and it look like Bud. You know what I'm saying? Jason might be walking around. He lift the mask up and it might be Bud underneath that mask. I'm telling you, man. PTSD ain't no joke, y'all. Real talk. It's no joke, y'all. But I appreciate y'all for pulling up, though. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to everyone who's in the building. Shout out to the hottest chat in the MFing game, A-side. Official. We should do this again, man. And y'all make sure that you tell Errol Spence, to look at this Fit for Duty webinar, and don't just box at your own risk, but make sure you answer all the questions that's out there about your physical health. There, Earl. You know what I'm saying? Are you physically, mentally, emotional, cleared? We want you to be 1,000% ready, because all these excuses that your fans use is unacceptable. And you need to pretty much make sure you clear that up on the second time around. Big shout out to y'all, man. Salute. We should do it again. Peace. I'm out.
Left jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss. Now you counting stars. Should've practiced more. Should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports.